Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the player ranked #1 in the world by Dark. In the red, the final boss. It's Dark. Up against the People's Terran. In the blue, we have Cure. A best of 3. Terran versus Zerg. Between Dark's tenacity and killer instinct, and Cure's ability to recognize quantity as a quality all its own, I think we have some quality matches in store for us today. And if you agree, or at least are just as optimistic, it'd be awesome if you could like, and if you haven't made it there yet, subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? Yeah, no one cares about the Reaper. It's not Clem. 1,346 likes on this video, on this cast, on this series. And I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. These two have faced off against each other for so many years now. And in fact, for about a year or two, it was probably the most common matchup in Korea. Cure has maintained his position as the most solid and consistent Terran in the world, a GSL champion. His plays are not particularly flashy. His micro is not going to make any highlight reels, but his macro has carried him through. The sheer weight of his Marines, Marauders, occasionally mech, but for the most part, he sticks with his guns and his drugs and the medevacs that enable all of that. But starting things off, the Queens gathering, strongly disagreeing with the Reaper Hellion early on, and it's going to be a Roach one off the quick 3 patch. Though Cure, no stranger to greed, instead of just 3 CC on the low ground, matching Dark in the rate of expansion to start things off on Oceanborn. I think both these players feel their best chance of victory is in the late game. Not committing to an early cheese, though Dark, most certain, well, neither player is going to shy away from it. But on Oceanborn, which usually is our most neutral of maps, where no one gets an early edge with any sort of crazy siege tank position or Nidus network or anything like that. In fact, you can't even get an Overlord on a pervert pillar particularly close by. We just saw a Viking take out the only Overlord Dark sent across the map, knowing the risk that entailed. And now, Viking hunting around. That one Overlord, all it's going to get to start, but another one might be gunned down. The Roaches on the way across. One of them scampering after the Hellions and Reaper. The rest off to the side, but there is a Banshee on the way. Did Dark even realize the third base is on location? He's about to, but the Banshee may cause him to turn around before he even gets there, and not seeing that the third base is already at the low ground. He may have committed the Roaches to kill a few SCVs, because he's going to lose the Roaches anyways. So Dark, well, going to remain in the himself about this, as Cure sends the Hellions out. Now, he's the one who knows the antidote to Dark's early pressure, and he's just going to run by with the Hellions. The Roaches trying to move into position, but the drones starting to stack up. 5 down, incinerated in the first salvo. 8 drones, and now 10. And that's the best you're going to get with the Hellion. Actually, a great catch here. Cure taking the risk of sending in the Hellions, but it was a calculated one. He knew where the Roaches were. He knew there wasn't Zergling speed. He knew it was unlikely the Queens were going to be anywhere but chasing down the Banshee. So he takes the opportunity, darts in, and kills 10 drones at a pretty key timing. And remember that if Dark is going for a Roach-based composition, the Hellions and maybe Hellbats later on, just not going to have as much going for him. So the Banshee provided the intel and the distraction needed, and Cure gets a bit of a solid trade early on. I'd definitely say that was worth it. A lot of the times players will run in with no idea whether or not it's going to work out, but that was definitely a calculated risk. And now the Banshees. Still, the Banshees were not dealt with. He didn't trade those away, and those have constant value for pretty much until Cure forgets about them and the Queens pick them off. As it's unlikely with this sort of unit composition that Dark's going to have any built-in anti-air besides those Queens. And even getting the creep here. Driving it back down the center. The Queens. Always having to deal with it. But 4th base is on the way. Still targeting down more drones. Just ignoring it. Just chasing down the Banshees. That's just disrespectful, isn't it, Brendan? Shh. Shh. Game 1. We talked about this, all right? 2 infestors on the way. Hive. Oh, Hive is halfway done for Dark. So his tech's certainly not slowed down much by the efforts of Cure, who's already got the double drop headed out. Banshee's still keeping the creep under control. Just 2 Banshees enough to control that side of the map. But the Fungal whipped out the green beach ball of death. And now Cure looking for a cure for those particular infestors. But right now, the Queen's still driving it away, but the Banshees keeping control of the situation. Dark had the infestor at the ready, and those Marines, well, most of them suffered for it, and the rest were traumatized by the experience. And any sort of advantage or momentum that Cure ground out with the Banshees and the Hellions, I think, evaporated alongside those Marines. Considering that Dark has an Ultralisk Cavern already on the way, Vipers in production. Are those Zerglings without speed? Well, patrolling around. Baneling and Zergling speed on the way. The Roaches just used to help buffer. A much more larva-efficient choice, especially against the Hellions and early medevac pressure. But there's no substitute for the Lings and Banes in the late game, where Roaches are easily targeted down or outmaneuvered. There are a few things in the air or the ground, on the ground, rather, that are faster than Zerglings, and Banelings don't trail too far behind. But 2 tanks on the high ground, 1-1 upgrade's done. Almost knocks out a medevac. As Cure clearly looking the other way. Dark doesn't need this base, but he certainly wants it. 1 Fungal goes out, the Zerglings will chase in. There's Vipers nearby. They've been gathering energy, and here we go. Dark might be able to save the base. Beautiful blinding cloud across the board onto the siege tanks. And he blinds them and knocks them out and doesn't even look at them while he does it. Corrosive Bile rains down and the siege tanks are taken out. The Vipers so quick onto the field. And Dark using all his early spellcasters to incredible effect. But Cure, in typical Cure fashion, it's not about how many units you lose, it's about how many you have to replace them. And Cure is still maxed out. He actually has more workers right now. He's working towards 2-2. The Marines will split. And only a couple more Banelings are trickling in. Not quite enough left over to break through the critical mass of Roach Ravager. But otherwise, Cure maintains his position and his ability to continue to pressure. He's not committing it. When the medevacs, what I like about what Cure is doing, he's not investing so much in the medevac. Some players will just keep building medevacs, and the Banshee is still going. These surviving Marines from earlier make it into the main base. Sporecrawler actually taking out the medevac, but Dark, in an uncharacteristic move, actually select all army back. Cure lost the medevac in the main. That could have continued to be an annoyance. Not a huge blow there. But Dark has a badly bruised hatchery over to the left flank. He's committed to the north. He's got 128 army supply, but he doesn't have a lot of gas mining right now. The Queens, and almost will get the Banshee, but not quite. Dark will take the base, but that's so many Marines. 60 Marines for Cure. But 2-2 upgrades are done, and Dark has Ultras on the field. He comes around the back. Ultras on either side. Has to come up the ramp. The Marines gun down pretty much every single Zergling. Most of the Banelings. More closing in. The first infestors finally get to the front line. But most of the Zerg army is cleared up as Cure picks his fight, stands his ground, backs off where he needs to, and now it's the Ultras that are being chased down. The Vikings above knocked out the Vipers and any sort of Overseers. The Banshee is still involved. A single Banshee, well, and the other Banshee is still in the top right corner. This is like the 3rd or 4th drone. Dark is acting like the medium AI right now, trying to expand. But again, oh wait, he has an armor upgrade, so it survives another hit. But not enough to get the hatchery. Oh my god, could come down here! It's not, just being able to fly isn't cool. Alright, Lucille, come back. Right. Oh, yeah, well, then don't come back. Ghost on the way. Cure, realizing he needs something a bit more reliable in order to deal with the Ultras, Vipers, Ghosts, Zerglings, Banelings, Queens, and anything else that Dark might bring onto the table. So the Ghosts have joined the production tab, as well as constant siege tank production. He is continually investing in them. He's got +2 mech weapons about to complete, as well as a fusion core on the way, though almost certainly for advanced ballistics instead of the laudable battle cruisers. Another round of Ling Bane. Dark has 96 Zerglings on the field, a few dozen Banelings. He's still at only 76 drones. Cure, I think some of the potential of his army reduced by the fact he has so many workers. He has 87 SCVs, which for now, he can definitely use. But as the bases start to mine out, that's usually why you see the Terran start to throw some SCVs away. Well, I personally, I think they should just kill them themselves and not give away that information. But Dark's going to help him out. 3-3 is done. Dozens of Zerglings into the third base, but Dark loses his fifth. Ultra's being chased back on one side, but into the natural on the other. The door will be held for now, but the Zerglings are ripping through it. Meanwhile, Cure is tearing up anything on Dark's side of the map, at least so far. This army, the vast majority of Cure's army, is bearing down on Dark's base. And we're going in to a full-on base trade. Oh no, the +3 upgrades may be taken out. The Ultras are inside the house and eviscerating the entirety of the production. Ghost able to get a single shot up. +3 Carapace is denied. 6 Ultralisks on the way, but the tech tree is going to be chopped off at the stump for both sides. The spawning pool about to go down, and that means he can't even restart a lair. Burrows the drones. So important he has Burrow. How many orbitals are there? There's only 2 orbitals. And there only 1 is on the ground right now. No orbital commands. There's a Baneling mine on creep, and usually that would just be bait for a scan. But there are no scans, because Cure has his entire base in the air right now, just like the game is. All right, so where does that leave us? Dark tried to bait him into the mine. If that mine hits, well, the Ultras are coming in. He has just unburrows the veins, not leaving it up to chance. And the Queens with the Ultras. The Queens with the Hero-less can transfuse. Oh, the Spore Crawler gets its revenge for the hatchery that was killed. Takes out a medevac. Cure trying to slam together his production, but he's down in the single digits of units. The Ultras survive, and Dark is ripping through. The last, well, he has 2 planetaries. Good hold position, Micro, from Cure here. But the Ultras are going to be enough. And with it, Dark of 60 supply. There's 8 Ultras. A scan spots it. Dark only has 27 drones. There's still a lot of production. 6 Ultras is just enough to maybe... He rebuilt an engineering bay like a Bronze League hero. Has 1 Ghost with a couple snipes. So he's rebuilding the Ghost Academy. Dark is going to try to break through, but that 1 Ghost... Not even the planetaries, but the Ghost being able to do that sort of damage. And the Vikings, there's no real anti-air. Well, there's the Queens. And Queens are moving in. Does he have Cloak? He has both flavors of Cloak, which means any more Ghosts can actually... between the Vikings and the Ghosts, there is a path here for Cure. Cure's mining again from his main. If he's able to get enough Ghosts out in this low economy scenario, it's just Ultras. Dark doesn't want to take the risk that there are enough units behind here that he loses his army, because then the medevacs come back across. Scans to deal with the burrowed Zergling. The Queens try to deal with the invading Vikings. Constant historical issue. Transfuses onto the Ultras. They come back to sick bay. So... 5 Ghosts at a time for Cure. That's the rest of his money here. Dark is back up to 45 drones. A scan. Is he actually... Okay, well... Get off my creep! Brenda. Couple Zerglings. Here, so we've kind of restarted the game. Unfortunately, for Dark, he got his 3-3 upgrade sniped off not too long before they finished, which gives Cure the advantage. 3-3 and +2 mech weapons, so I don't know if that'll ever become relevant again. Single Zerglings being sent out. Infestation pit being rebuilt. Constant scans for banelings and possibly infestors. He doesn't know. There's a small chance of ultras. He gets to the main. A Zergling. Open season here. Unfortunately, there's not much to hunt. Couple Marauders coming back. A Zergling gets distracted. More ghosts on the way. So we will actually I saw one game like this between these two players. Dark versus Cure about 1.5 years ago. Where not once, not twice, but 3 times did they essentially base trade and restart. Dropping under 100 supply and almost down to single-digit workers each time. But somehow neither player was able to end it. I believe Dark eventually won that one, but there was a severe risk of a draw. So here we are. Round 2. Dark maintains his army from before. Cure has mostly rebuilt his. The only thing he's really maintained was a couple ghosts, 1 ghost maybe, and the air units here. I believe there's only 1 starport. And again, this base will die. But Dark, well, he doesn't have any Vipers, as he hasn't had a hive. He's had to rebuild the tech tree from the spawning pool. Dark is actually supply blocked somewhat awkwardly. Another group of Lings just going to make sure that none of these first 3 bases... I mean, conveniently for both sides, they re-expanded to bases that are relatively fresh on minerals. So they can just maintain production like it's a relatively normal game. But much further along. Well, those 3-3 Marauders showing their value finally get taken down. The Overlords, just 2 Vikings here. The Infestors pop out. And really, very important for Dark not to be leaving those out on the field. But finally, the Zerglings get through. He tries to re-expand to his 3rd. Of course, Dark already has something there. Now, this is awkward. Does he have Neural Parasite? He just started it. 3-3 is on the way. Attempt number 2 for Dark. He's got 8 Ultras, 7 Infestors, 93 Zerglings, and he's building Vipers again. We're just gonna do it again. But Cure doesn't have the bank, and he does kind of have the level of production he did before the reset. But Dark, I still think maintained the advantage. If Cure's able to max out again, this time around though, he's got 13 ghosts and a smattering of liberators, which certainly make things more difficult if Dark isn't able to catch that army by surprise. But also this time around, Dark is going to have plenty of infestors. He's not going to be limited to just 2 or 3. He has 7 that have been gathering energy for quite a while. Oh no! Another queen taken out, but scans are pretty few and far between. 4 orbitals. Another base attempted. Dark is re-expanding to his natural as well. There's still plenty of gas there, I believe. Spire's on the way. And Parasitic Bomb will eventually kill these beautiful fungal. He catches so many units on the ground. Yeah, Dark with a great catch. Does lose 3 infestors for the cost, though, in that exchange. Cure, rebuilding the fusion core. Did he ever get advanced ballistics? I believe he just canceled. No, he finished the fusion. He did not get advanced ballistics for those liberators in a previous live. 14 ghosts. There's 100 Zerglings. That count just got reduced by the fact He built 33 more banelings. +3/+3 is closing in. Dark pre-splitting his infestors, so even if there is an EMP, it doesn't find a very viable target. But Dark, not willing to let Cure set up on this side of the map. He's ready to bust through. The planetaries, they don't have building armor. +3 attack finishes as the banelings roll in. Cure scrambling back, but will there be anything to come back to? The banelings roll in, will take out a ghost as well. The orbital's being targeted, and Dark looking to ransack any progress that Cure made. A couple ultras may get picked off. The Liberators resume their siege, but Cure's supply block going into this. The banelings come through. Production tab is empty, actually, but Corruptors are the choice out of Dark. The Ghosts will catch some of the ultras on the way out, and that's a costly loss at a time when the economy is precarious at best. 14 Ghosts. Oh no, the Infestor is just like 1 pixel away from detection range. This hatchery may die for like the 7th... Okay, it's like the 4th time in this game. It is incredibly rare when we see the buildings tab outnumber, the buildings lost outnumber the units lost, at least in terms of differences. Dark EMPs! The Ghosts! EMP, quite a good counter to the Ghost. Unfortunately, the only way to EMP is with a Ghost. Another Infestor! And the EMP's late. I don't know if his hotkeys are set up right, but he gets a lot of the energy off the Ghost, and yet another one turns it around, and the banelings roll in before the snipes can come through, and Dark grabs the Ghost and uses the Ghost to beat the Ghost, and right now Cure is going right into a watery grave in game number 1, as Oceanborn will be Dark's. That is certainly one counter. Now, was it the decisive one? Would a fungal been just as good? Maybe not as reliable, as you have to unburrow for fungal, but we will not reset. Dark will claim his victory. It took a while to get there, but eventually he prevails. Game 1 goes decisively to Dark. Cure putting up a... I don't think too many players would have been nearly as willing to just say, all right, let's go. Round 2. So many players would focus on needing to end the game or trying to pick a fight, but it is a testament and a condemnation of Cure that he was so ready to pick up his buildings, and that's why he's the people's Terran. All right? Because he may lose everything, but that won't stop him from lifting his buildings, flying across, and trying it again. So that brings us to Game 2 on Alcyone. After one of the most technical exchanges I've seen in quite a while. Probably since the last time these two had such a confusing scenario to hash out. So we're going to start things off mundane with a Reaper, as is customary, in current year. It's like, which year? Yes, all of them. Even back in Wings of Liberty, the early Reaper was common. I don't think quite as common as when they got... They're building grenades, which many people may look back fondly on. And by that I mean cheesy Terrans who thought it was fun to blow up buildings with a unit that ignored terrain. But I would argue, and Beyond would probably agree when push comes to shove, that the grenades that affect units have had much more, have created a much more reliable unit and potentially powerful unit in the long term. So instead of a grenade that does a ton of damage and potentially snipes off buildings, the ability to bounce around queens and take out groups of Zerglings, well, so good it had to be nerfed twice. Thanks to Beyond. Cure not as much of a enthusiast for the Mass Reaper builds, but he'll mix them in now and again. Dark. He's like, you know what counters ghosts? He's essentially the theory crafting YouTube short commenter, except as a professional player. It's like, you know what the best counter to ghosts is? A Zerg. Ghosts. It's like, all right. Like, what if you just, all right, stay with, what if you just take a ghost and use it to EMP the ghost? It's so simple. Like, well, yes, but, huh. In fact, I think he missed the EMPs. I don't know. I assume Dark has played enough Terran to know his Terran hotkeys. Assuming it doesn't use grid or something. But it did feel like there was a slight delay on him grabbing the ghost and using the EMP, like he was scrambling for the right key. So I'd be highly amused if he's such a purist. Like, that he literally... I've known a few players. I don't think it's nearly as common in current year. But back in, like, especially towards the beginning of Legacy of the Void, even through then, players who were high Grandmaster as one race, and then literally had never even played their placement matches as any other. Which, I find it hard to believe, but literally unable to beat Diamond players, at least initially, because they don't understand how the mechanics of the race truly work. So, I think most players have played, and especially at this point, obviously, even some like Raynor, playing at a professional level, but occasionally, especially in the early years, there were truly players who were purely a single race with absolutely no idea. I don't think Dark is one of those, all right? I'm just amused at the idea that he didn't have an EMP hotkey. Or didn't know what it was for a moment. Cure pre-cloaks the Banshees to come across. You sly dog. He's but I think Dark saw it. Like, he saw the shimmer. He has an Overseer on the way, and he was building it near where the Overlord they flew past. So, that doesn't mean the Banshees aren't going to get plenty done. The Queens will politely yet firmly ask them to leave, and much like most Terrans, the Banshees will ignore those social cues in favor of being annoying. Meanwhile, though, Spire is on the way. Mutas, very likely to be the choice. Dark, feeling a little spicy in game 2. The Banshees working on the 4th. The Queens coming down yet again. Dark dodges by rebuilding the hatchery. Baneling speed is done, but otherwise, I believe there's been... Yeah, it's just the drones, and an Overlord died somehow. Maybe one on the pervert pillar over there. But the double drop is coming through. Wow, this has just been almost a no-rush 7-minute game. As they both just build up. Oh my god, out of energy immediately. Decloaks the other one out of solidarity. The Spire's done. 8 Mutalisks on the way. Oh no, the supply block is rough here though. As just at the timing when Dark wants to be capitalizing on the Mutas, he gets quite a bit supply block, loses some. Though those 8 Mutas are coming out, and maybe enough to take out this drop with all hands. Ideally without losing any of those Mutas themselves. But of course he can chase down the Medivacs. Cure targets the Baneling, picks up, and actually manages to get away with the boosters. More Banelings coming through. Dark will lose 1 Muta, and it'll cost him a few more Banes before it's all through. The Muta count is starting to grow. Cure did not forget Combat Shield. He just delayed it for mass marine production. Only has 1 tech lab, it seems. So, Stim and then Combat Shield. And the Mutas try to chase down the Banshees, but the cloaking device is working as intended. Oh no, comes over, gets another one popped out of the sky. And Cure has the best defense against Mutalisks is a good offense. And Cure has kept the Mutas tied up on Dark's side of the map since they were born. And now Dark has decided that even if it costs him potentially a base, that'll be the end of that. The muta count's so damn high. Finally, the Banshees will be taken down with no more energy for Cloak. And Dark is going straight for the third. Here we go again. The mutas are swinging back. Dark gives up his third. He kills 16 SCVs, but he gives up a base in between his other bases. He may very well lose another hatch behind this. He's clearly trying to group up the mutas, but Kira was able to put together so many Marines in time. Dark needs to break this now, or it's very likely it will be never. The reinforcements are coming across. A handful of Zerglings, well, a large handful, big hands, will make their way towards the natural, but Kier, I believe, spotted the edge of it with the watchtower, so was able to pull back and defend. +2 melee, and Carapace about to complete. Dark gives up his his third and technically his fifth base. There's no turret. He cleared out everything at the third. Dark, Kier's only at 49 SCVs, but he's about to have +2. That's a lot of Marines. That is a lot of Marines. There are currently 74 Marines and 74 Zerglings. Okay, there's also 40. Did that say 41 Banelings? Yeah, that's a lot of Banelings. There's a lot of units. I'm so good at counting. The numbers on the screen, yes, but... And a drop into the main. Any sort of attention taken away here could be game-ending for Dark. Kier setting himself up, and Dark is just going for the full-on base trade. He's already halfway across the map. There's not going to be nearly enough at home to defend for Dark, so he's just going to try to kill Kier outright. There's a siege tank in the main. The Banelings will bust through the door. That one siege tank going to be so important. Dark trying to get as many units together as possible. And we're base traded again. The mutas and a lot of the Banes are coming back. Kier's economy is gone. But Dark is about to lose his Baneling nest. Without it, well, he's just going to have to work with what he has. 20 more Banes are in production. But Kier's army is massive here. Some Hellbats, plenty of tanks. He's going to try to use the mutas to pick off as much as he can. There aren't too many reinforcements. Well, actually, there's plenty of reinforcements coming. That was everything he was building from in the main. There's Burrow on the way. Could be the saving grace. There's still 2 orbitals. And the Marine reinforcements. 77 Marines on the field. Siege tanks. Dark says it's time to go. It's not going to get any better. But the Marines will split. They'll stim. There's nothing left. GG. Kier. A strong victory as Dark in his hubris makes mutas, and Kier in another day at the office makes Marines, and kind of demonstrates why it's such a difficulty. It's just, if you don't get economic damage early, it's a big risk to go for the mutas. The Spire itself takes quite a while to complete. The mutas are costly, and if you're just playing defense with them, there are better tools for the job, and cheaper ones as well. Kier understands that. Dark tried to circumvent it, but the end result is 1-1, and we're going to game 3. Site Delta. Another very neutral ground. Dark trying something different. Muta's not a regular choice for all those reasons. It just takes too long. Far too long. You don't need Widow Mines or Thors or anything. Just the sheer Marine count. Especially since Kier. I wonder if we'll see Dark try to punish the third. Because it's very likely Kier will go 3cc again. He may very well put it on the low ground. Which certainly helped. Oh, he got a Zerg. Okay, it was a Zerg. Not a drone. Alright. And there is the third CC. Not on the low ground, but even before the factory finishes. Only a few seconds behind Dark's third hatchery. So Kier, once again, going for that massive economy. And honestly, I don't think the issue, as in Game 1, Dark did perfectly fine competing against the 3rd CC. It's so early that it kicks in and helps boost the production by the time Lair Tech is able to complete. So, but if Dark decides on another path, honestly, that Hive Tech rush looking pretty good. I don't know what it is about these two that seems to drive them into base trading on a more than 50% of the time basis, but just such a commitment. Neither willing to back down. Cure is not stubborn, but he has a lot of inertia, which is a bit of a different thing. Like, he's not going to just change up his strategy or do a bunch of multi-pronged attacks or crazy stuff like that. He's just going to try to beat you down with the sheer weight of the bio ball. And he's been successful now. Proof of concept. But it's a knee breaker build. There's the armory. Right underneath the Overlord. Quite obviously so. He knew where the Overlord was, clearly. He had already damaged it, so he built the armory on its path. Is it a fake? Could it be? Yes, it's a fake. Wow. Now, does Dark call his bluff? Dark built a Roach Warren. Like, he even built a Marauder, too. So, do you just run the Hellions by? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like, that was so obvious. He knew. The armory started after the Overlord was scouted. Cure, it's not. Cure isn't so much on autopilot that he's unaware that the Overlord is scouting. So, I think Dark is... Yeah, Dark takes a 4th. He's building 1 Roach. Alright, that's how much respect you deserve. Okay, he's building a few more after getting on supply block, but... I love how... That's such an obvious mind game. Dark, did he see the engineering base? No.
I'm under attack.
But there is no wall right now at the natural. There's enough Zerglings. No, they're not going to get through. Not that it would matter much. There's plenty of reinforcements coming. Their base lands, and at this point, it's kind of irrelevant whether or not it was a fake, as Dark not only taking a 4th, but a 5th. Again, just the obscene macro from both sides. The greed. Oh, I guess you could call it respect as well, but neither really putting any effort into early damage, and instead only keeping a basic check on the other before they go to 4 or 5 bases and aim to max out at like the 8 to 9 minute mark. Baneling Nest on the way. Infestation Pit, they're both in hard to scout locations for that Viking, but it's hard to hide the hive. Hide hives. Hive. Sounds like something you need a cure for. Moving on. That was bad. Roach speed finishing up. A lot of Whittle Mines on the way. Looks like Cure is interested in a more Whittle Mine based composition, which is somewhat soft countered by Roach Ravager, which is what Dark is heading towards. Base finishes up. Takes out the Creep Tumor. Going to do plenty of damage to the hatch. May be able to kill it, because that one Marauder that was built as bait before. Adding enough damage. And goes for the Roaches. Now, I like going for the Roaches instead of trying to kill the hatchery outright. Oh, he spotted the mine and actually drew it in. And then makes a Ravager out of it. Very spiteful. Zerglings. Sir! Sir, from the Hatcheries Owners Association, no Terrans allowed! Not since the war! Alright. Well, double drop coming in. Dark has 3 Infestors and 2 Vipers on the way. Will we throw it out there? Oh my god. No! 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 Why? How? That's it. That's all the questions. But I don't know how he does it. Like, can't believe Cure even left that up to chance. Like, Dark has Ravagers underneath the medevacs, and you keep flying in a straight line. Oh my. The other medevac's so badly bruised. If he had gotten both, I think Dark actually has a position where he could maybe just come across the map and try to kill him. Still having medevacs out there, though, forces him to respect the potential for counterattack. Baneling speed is only halfway done. Oh my. He just threw the corrosive bows behind his Ravager and knocked out the Widowmine without even needing detection. He just spotted it on the ground. May have seen it burrow, maybe not. Ultralisk Cavern. Yeah. Ultralisk Cavern is on the way. And again, Cure comes in, trying to put the pressure on. Fungal comes out, though, and draws the Widowmine into the medevacs. Oh, falls on his own grenade, or his explosive missile platform, heavily mischaracterized when described as a mine. And again, Dark. Oh, forces him to Prairie Dog the mine there. Drilling Claws is not quite done yet, not that it would matter. And Cure. Forced back on all fronts. He's got a fourth base now, but Dark. As chitinous plating on the way, adrenal glands, overlord speed coming together. And it's going to be Dark's turn momentarily. Despite the upgrades finishing for Cure, once adrenal glands finishes alongside +2 melee, there's really no reason to wait any longer. So Cure is going to have to survive the next wave. He has an idea of what's coming for him. Ooh, those Widow Mines could be spicy. It's a decent split. He uses Fungal to deal with it. Why not? Gives you the detection you need. A little bit of damage. Drop again. Cure needs something out of the map to anchor as many of Dark's units back on his side. Because otherwise, well, they're not there. Infestors from the low ground, and everyone dies but one. But reinforcements are on the way. Dark does not have enough forces committed. And that means Cure is able to get what was quite an ambitious hatchery. But we'll see. The Widow Mine's dealt with. Another one. Retargeting. Actually gets a chunk. Dark, does he go for it? Oh, he just builds 30 more links. Brenda! Come back here! We told you not to use Apple maps! Alright, they don't factor in the creep! No, Apple users aren't creeps. That's not what I said. I'm not saying that. Another medevac goes down to Corrosive Bile. And Dark, putting together Operation Overlord. Ready to drop dozens of Zerglings, though there aren't too many great targets. You could get the engineering base, which would be huge. And so far, the Infestors and Vipers are just amazing for Dark. Forcing the Ghosts out. Oh my god. Parasitic Bomb doesn't stack, unfortunately. 3 more command centers on the way. The Zerglings, well, there weren't enough spaces in there. I think he meant to burrow just the Infestors, but burrows the whole army. Dark is definitely trying to distract here. This isn't even a real attack. But if he can get some damage, that's great. If he can keep him busy, that's amazing. If he can kill Ghosts, that's really priority 1. But the drop into the natural. And here comes Dark. Now going up towards the main. The Ghosts do not have Cloak and will be eviscerated for it. The Zerglings with adrenal glands ripping through, dragging Cure back. Most importantly, keeping that army busy. And that means Dark is able to wind up for another attack without Cure putting any pressure on his side of the map. Parasitic Bomb will wipe out a couple more medevacs. I don't know if he has if it's quite enough. Another one, and another one bites the dust. Meanwhile, Vikings in the main Zerglings. Cure still has 200 supply, as is customary. Dark has a little more in the bank. Here come the Ultras. Ghost Academy's taken out. He finished Cloak and Burrows at the back. But Dark, more Ultras on the way. And without Ghost production, at least for a short time, the Academy builds very quick, though. So he'll be able to rebuild. And Cure is still maxed out. Both equal army supply. It just feels like Dark has such control of the situation. But if Cure is able to muster his forces into a good fight, it could go disastrously. He has so much bio. Widowmine's looking for a target. Fungal comes out, and the Ultra having a field day. Meanwhile, another Ultra is taken out. Ultra chewing through to the right flank. 8 more Ultras in the production tab. EMP onto the Infestors, but the damage is done. Corrosive Bile's hard enough, and Cure is able to win the tail end of the fight. But at what cost? There's still Zerglings in the main. A group of them unburrow. Another one working on the starport. Cure has rebuilt them. And the fusion core will be taken out by the Cracklings. Oh my god. And now a Nidus. Once Dark gets into your base, well, he really usually doesn't leave. One way or another, he's finding a way in. More Marines. And a wave of Ultras has completed, but Cure is maxed out again. Only 5 ghosts against 10 Ultralisks. That's not enough. They can't dual wield. And here come the Queens. Is it time for revenge? It's time! The Queens are coming. And the Ultras on the way. The Vipers looking for atomic parasitic bombs. Onto the Liberators, the Queens. And the Ravagers may be enough. But Ultras cleaving through the mineral lines. A second parabomb finishes him off with the corrosive bile. And the Nidus into the natural. It completed, and now the Zerglings are rallying in. And just like that, Cure down to 120 supply. Still rebuilding, but this time around, critical damage was done. And the final boss looks like he may be able to close it out. Cure scrambling, but as soon as he gave up the initiative, Dark took control of the situation, took control of the map, and took control of Cure's base, wrenched it away from him, and then beat him down with the Ultras. Dark with a decisive victory. He tried the Mutas. It didn't work out, but the Ultras, a risk, but the Lisks are enough. A very dark series. Cure holding the line. Give some credit to his tenacity, but it's not enough. Well, quite a series. The gentlemanly macro into the all-out brawl. But I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Hope I made your day a little bit better. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing still free for now. So I'll see you next time. If you haven't yet checked out the second channel, by the way, for more content and even more content with all these new games coming out I hear about as well. Winter Gaming on YouTube. Find a link in the description if you've ever seen that before. But otherwise, I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.